Hello, welcome to my video. Here I will be talking about 5 learning theories in a psychological perspective. So this is a very basic overview of 5 psychological learning theories or perspectives. So let's start with behaviorism. Talking about behaviorism, this theory or the perspective was developed in the 19th century, and here what they suggest is that learning is only complete when there is an obvious change in behavior. So they perceive learning as a conditioned or an operant response to environmental stimulus. So learning starts with a blank state. So there are two types of conditioning that we talk in behaviorism. Classical conditioning was developed by Pavlov, and operant conditioning was developed by another psychological behaviorist or a behavioral psychologist called P.F. Skinner. So talking about classical conditioning, maybe you guys have heard of Pavlov's theory of using a dog to see or to measure the association between an involuntary response and a stimulus. Here, what he did was he used a dog. So when the bell rings, the dog gets food, and over time, when the bell rings, the dog develops an involuntary response. So what is this involuntary response? It's salivation. So he was able to develop an association between an environmental or an external stimulus, which is ringing the bell, and a non-voluntary action of the being. So that is salivation of the dog. So talking about operant conditioning, here B.F. Skinner wanted to see the association between a voluntary action and its consequence. So here he talks about rewards and punishment. When talking about rewards, he talks about positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement. Both types of reinforcement are used to elevate or encourage a certain type of behavior, and punishment is used to discourage a certain type of behavior. So people thought that this perspective a little too basic for humans. So Jean Piaget was a founder of cognitivism, and in cognitivism what they suggest is that learning is based on understanding. So our mind is working as an information processor where we grasp new knowledge from environmental stimulus and social interactions, and we analyze them and we store it in our mind, in our brains. So they think that learning is complete when there is a new understanding, not just behavioral change per se. And here, John Piaget talks about cognitive schemas. He talks about cognitive schemas when he was referring to early childhood cognition. And you can consider schemas as basic building blocks of a certain type of a complex building or units of basic units of knowledge. So learning is obvious, can be seen when there is a change in a certain type of already existing schema. For an example, when a child thinks everything that is green is trees, over time he or she may think that not all the things green are trees, but that can be many things like trees or grass or some other thing that is green. So talking about constructivism, just like cognitivism, which is very, these two perspectives, I must say, are very similar in nature because both theories think that learning is an active mental process. So here, the primary mode of learning to build or construct new knowledge is social or situational experiences. So via social interactions or situational experiences, they gather knowledge and they put it into test. Uh, so yeah, in cognitivism, people construct knowledge based on their own experiences and their own self-discoveries. Self-exploration and developing new ideas via discoveries and combining it with prior knowledge is uh, shown in constructivism. Um, so, talking about humanistic approach to learning, they say that learning is tied with three key features, which are motivation, free will, and potential. So, they think that self-actualization is uh, once a person's highest achievement in life, and in this view, learning can be um, seen when the individual is reaching their fullest potential by observation and accumulated experiences. And lastly, when talking about experiential approach to learning, the founder, David Kolb, has developed four stages to learning. So let's look at them. Concrete experience, reflective observation, abstract conceptualization, and active experimentation are those four steps. So this takes in a cyclical form. So the learner can be self-sustained. Here, David Kolb has taken into consideration things like emotions and prior learnings and the individual style of learning when it comes to learning. And this theory has mainly contributed to the multimodality of teaching, where teachers try to accommodate teaching techniques and styles to match with the student's style of learning. So this is a great theory that we discuss in psychology when talking about teaching, education, and learning. So thank you all for listening, and I hope the information I provided here will be useful for you guys when analyzing and skimming through learning theories of psychology. So thank you guys.